Hi everyone, my name is Maddie at Pure Movement Pilates Studio, and this is your serving of fitness. Okay, so now I'm down on my knees. I got my mat for support and for cushion, and I'm going to use the wall again to help me modify, to help me find my body position, and also use it for strength and sculpting. So let's take our hands out underneath our shoulders and our knees right underneath our hips, okay? Like the very classic setup, all fours, okay? Now, a lot of times people do this, right? One arm, one leg, and it's not that easy, honestly. It's challenging. So I want you to think about right arm against the wall, okay? And you're using that to help you find your abdominals just a little bit, and we're gonna walk our knees closer together, okay? And I'm pushing into the wall as I extend my left leg back, and then I keep going. Once again, if you're moving the pelvis a lot in the back, we got to try to tighten up core, use our breath. Maybe we got to tighten up glutes a little if they're not on. 3, 2, gazes down. 1 more. Good. Now you're going to switch. Left hand up. It's easiest to just do this one at a time on each side. Otherwise, it'd be a little crazy. Right leg reaches back and bring it in. And yes, you can see I was kind of dipping. I felt it. Right hip was lowering. I got to keep it up. We're knocking out my PT exercises while we're here. Thank you. 4. It was not like this though. 3. Wall Pilates. 2. 1. And then send it back. Oh, and then my favorite is a little child's pose, letting those shoulders have something to press against and dropping the chest. Wow, that feels good. Okay, so we're going to go back to sort of a variation that we did on the standing side, where we were kind of going into more of a push-up, right, with our knees. And my elbows aren't going super wide, obviously because this right wall is here. And just because I'm just seeing it in a different vantage point. So feet up is going to be a little harder. I'm feeling more triceps though, that's for sure. 3, 2, so elbows are more at like a little angle. 1, okay. And then I'm going to have my hands on the wall as I sit down on my butt. I'm trying to get my posture right. I'm just staying more upright, and then I press myself to get really close to the wall. So it's like a kneeling squat. Good. 4, 3. Again, careful that it's not just back and pelvis like this, right? 2, 1. Lift your toes up. So feet are up. You're going to beat the heels together. I'm trying to keep them lifted. Keep my hips pressing forward. Glute is on. 5, 4, 3. No hands. Woo. 2, 1. Let it go back. Okay. And then last but not least, my favorite. Doing more of a thigh stretch. Using the wall when you need it for stability and holding on. So look at how my knees, thighs, pelvis, ribs, head is all lined up. Not my head so much. You really want to think about pulling in the core. And again, just finding that pelvis. Maybe you got to think about where does it go when it gets tired, right? How do I get it out of there? And then we'll bring it all the way down to our heels, okay? We're going to come onto our back, and then we'll finish on our side. And I just want you to be aware that for my bridges right now, I don't do very high, and I'm doing all neutral position flat back, okay? So I'm not doing the curling, the rolling back personally. You're welcome to do either, okay? And for me, I'm getting pretty close to the wall, but my feet are going to be more just in line with my knee. And I'm doing a small lift, okay? The higher you go, right, just be mindful of your pelvis and where it is in space. So curling would be like a little bit more like the rounding to go up. And again, if you want to stick with me and go smaller, totally fine. At the top, I'm just going to come down an inch, back up an inch. And think about what's helping me is think about my feet pulling down. Feet pulling down. That's getting my glutes more versus I was getting a lot of back. And because you're at this angle, it is going to want you to get into more flexion. The body's just going to naturally want to do that. So you just have to think about where is best for me. Like for me, I'm trying to think about keeping it neutral, so I'm not flexing, which makes it really, really small. And then we'll set the hips down, okay? Now, I'm lined up, so I'm going to lay on my side, and I'm literally right up against the wall with my back. And I love this because so many of us roll our top hip forward, our feet aren't back there, so I'm trying to get everything lined up. So I'm in my neutral pelvis like this, and then I'm going to do a reverse clamshell. And people are like, what's that? Well, a reverse clamshell is toes and feet going up as the knee turns down. Now, I've made a couple adjustments with my pelvis while I was explaining that. If my right hip goes against the wall, that is too far back for me, actually. So I got to get my hips more stacked up. And again, your butt is going to determine some of how far away you can be and things like that. So just try to get your pelvis as close as you can, and then make sure your hips are lined up. Good. Last one. And then we're going to do traditional clamshell. And I love this because the feet can kind of press against the wall. And you're just opening that top hip into a little rotation. The top knee comes up. But again, if you start rolling back and feeling the wall actually when you were starting and you didn't feel the wall, then that means you're rolling that hip back. So try to think of pulling in the core, keeping it smaller. Last two. And one. Okay? And then my favorite is you're going to lift and then take the whole thigh forward, take the whole thigh to where the foot hits the wall and it stops you. There's only so much you can do unless you want to make a hole in the wall. Using my top hand as a kickstand. 3, 2, and 1. Set that down. And now I'm going to come up and I'm going to try to do a side plank. Now that I've got myself all lined up, I'm going to lift my hips, pull from my abs, my side of my ribs, my left side, and you can see I moved my left elbow just a little bit more under my shoulder since I came away from the wall, and hips are stacked up. 3, 2, 1, set it down. Okay? All right, we're going to go to the other side. So, yep, stacking up the hips. Making sure, again, the pelvis is not tucking or overly arching. You're kind of in your middle. You're going to start to do the reverse clamshells. Good. And again, head and shoulders are trying to be against the wall as best as you can. Good. On the next one, you're going to go to the typical clamshell, the original, the OG. Again, try to relax your neck. That's something I really struggle with on the sideline stuff, or the lateral side, bar body, like the lateral movements. Just trying to not use the neck. 2, 1. Whole top leg lifts, comes forward, goes back, foot stops it, and thigh, knee, hip, ankle, foot, the whole thing is in line. Bring the leg down. We're going to go into the side plank. This side is a little tricky for me because this right glute doesn't like to help out. And again, you don't want to be falling back into the wall per se, but use the wall as a guide. Make sure the hips are lined up. 3, 2, 1, bring it down. All right, we're gonna finish seated using our wall to help us. I'm gonna go more butterfly diamond position. So my butt is right up against, my shoulders are against, my ribs are against, and I'm just trying to do a little bit of protraction and retraction of the shoulders. So my arms go forward, my shoulders go forward, then I pull them back. Again, I'm using the wall to feel it. And then I'm going to open to the T. It's a nice chest opener. Bring it back in. Still trying to keep my ribs pulled in, my abs pulled in, even though I'm at this point where I am a little tired and I'm stretching. So I'm just trying to keep it safe. Last one. And then you can maybe try to do the goalpost here. I am pressing my pelvis a little forward to help with my shoulders, but that would technically not be the exercise way. But that is more of like a stretch for my inner thighs, so it feels good. Good. Bring the arms down. Just press the knees down towards the floor. You can kind of rock them a little side to side. Rock your shoulders a little side to side, kind of using the wall to feel that movement. Kind of going both together. Rolling the back of the head. It seems kind of silly, but actually feels really good. And then we're going to do just a little bit of rotation. So I'm going to do a little rotation with a glute stretch. Just be kind of conscious of how you get out of it. So right leg crosses over left. And I'm going to just pull this right knee towards my left shoulder and do a little twisting here to the right. And I like because you can kind of use the wall to help you get a little further to the right if that's good for you. And then we'll switch. And then we'll come back to just kneeling and doing that little lift of the heart here, a little extension. Going maybe more fingertip touch or more upper back, whatever you need. And then going into more of a child's pose position with the arms up. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of more turnout child's pose, so toes, feet together, knees apart, walking the hands down, swaying a little side to side, using the arms, lifting the heart. I'm going to get a little closer for the lifting the heart part. So press down to lift the chest, way more upper back, lower, press down and think of sliding the hands down to lift the chest. And lower one more time. And lower. Take your hands down onto the mat. Just stretch out the wrists a little bit with fingers pointing towards you. Palms facing up just to let those forearms stretch. And then turn them the other way. Palms face down. Fingers still facing towards you. And then you can give the wall a hug. I love the wall because it helps with gravity, right? If I were doing this on anywhere else, it's not going to hold me up. It's more reliable than a person. You also could skip this part if you're kind of weirded out. All right, if you actually made it to the very end and you did it all with me, thank you so much. Please comment below your favorite wall exercise, modification. Tell us what you think. Thanks again, guys.